So Ubisoft's new free-to-play FPS shooter, Xdefiant, is finally back on the forefront of Ubisoft's mind. And when I say this game's been in development for a while, I played this game a few years ago in a closed alpha under an NDA, and the product I was playing back then already felt like it had a good amount of development time put into it. So for you guys who do not know, Xdefiant is Ubisoft's answer to Call of Duty. It is their brand new flagship arcade shooter, which when it launches is going to be free-to-play, available on every console and PC, as well as having full cross-platform and cross-play between them. Now the big hook behind this game is the fact that the factions available in it, notice that I'm saying factions, not characters, and we'll get into that in a minute, are all coming from Ubisoft titles. Now originally when this game was announced, it was only Tom Clancy titles. They have since changed that. They removed Tom Clancy from the game's name as well. It used to be Tom Clancy's Xdefiant, it's purely just Xdefiant now. And I know the whole Tom Clancy part was a lot of criticism for people, so Ubisoft did listen. It does seem like they are putting a lot of effort into this game. However, there are still Tom Clancy aspects in it. They do have factions currently in the beta from Ghost Recon, The Division, Splinter Cell. We've actually got some from Far Cry 6 as well, which isn't a Tom Clancy title, as well as DedSec from Watch Dogs 2, which is actually my personal favourite. I love Watch Dogs 2, one of my favourite games ever made. They aren't playable in the beta at the moment, but it's really nice to see that removing the Tom Clancy tag has actually opened up the gate for them to do more Ubisoft titles, and I think that was a really good decision. Now, I know I probably titled the video talking about Rainbow Six. That wasn't clickbait, we're going to get into that now. This game does and will most likely have more Rainbow Six content when it launches and post-launch. Of course, they are going to freely update this game as a live service game as long as it has an audience. And from the reactions I've seen about the game, a lot of people are really enjoying it, especially a lot of Call of Duty players who are just purely not satisfied with COD and Activision right now. And listen, as someone who grew up on COD, but now I focus on Rainbow Six, I think COD in its current state is one of the most volatile and lifeless forms of money-making machines out there. The quality of Call of Duty games and the life of them went out the window when now every year they're trying to push out a half-baked product to just squeeze as much money out of their audience as possible. I'm seeing stuff like the most recent Modern Warfare 2 not even getting the hardcore mode until like Season 2. That is absolutely awful when a game mode, which was a standard from the start for every Call of Duty game, isn't even coming out until 2 seasons later. For a game which is basically the same product getting re-released every year, that is absolutely abysmal, and I can't believe people still stand for that. But let's talk about the Rainbow Six content that will be in this game. Of course, I am a Rainbow Six YouTuber primarily. For starters, there's a training area which has a lot of Rainbow Six content in it. Now, I don't know if I can actually get a clip of it. The training area isn't working anymore. I'll see if anyone managed to get some gameplay of it. But from what I've seen, it was a room with some reinforced walls from Rainbow Six Siege. It has some R6 drones and stuff like that. And this was in a learning area which had other items from other Ubisoft games as well. And those other Ubisoft games are already factions in the game, sort of implying that we are going to get Siege factions in the game at some point in the future. It's pretty much all but confirmed that we are going to get Siege stuff. In the beta, there does already seem to be a Rainbow Six Siege item. There's actually an EMP grenade which anyone can add into their custom loadout. And the design seems to be extremely similar to the design of Thatcher's EMP in Rainbow Six Siege. This makes a lot of sense because all the items in these games are all just a crossover from all of Ubisoft IPs thrown into an FPS shooter. So you'll have like guns from Far Cry, you'll have items from The Division, you'll have hacking tech from Watch Dogs, and in this case an EMP from Rainbow Six Siege. And I want to kind of jump over to the point I was talking about earlier of how this game has factions and not characters. So let's take Splinter Cell as an example in this game. Instead of having characters such as Sam Fisher playable, rather you have the faction of Echelon playable, which is from Splinter Cell, and the characters you'll have playable will be sort of generic characters from that faction. We'll use Watch Dogs 2 as another example. It has DedSec, which is the hacking group from Watch Dogs. Instead of playing as like Marcus or Wrench, you'll be playing as just a normal hacker guy, which you can then of course go into customize when you unlock customization items. So when they inevitably do add a Rainbow Six faction to this game, I'm doubtful it will be like operators coming over from Siege and being playable in this game. Rather, they'll add factions from it, so you'll maybe have the nighthaven faction. It will have nighthaven weapons brought into the game and nighthaven tech usable for that faction. You could also have like an SAS faction, so anyone in that faction could maybe bring like a sledgehammer or a smoke grenade like that. These factions basically take the aspects from their respective titles and bundle them only into that faction that they can use. All the factions can use all the weapons across the board, however their sort of unique gadgets are limited to that faction. So we definitely do know that Siege is going to be a part of it. They've already hinted at it in the game, they already put Siege stuff in it, so it will be quite cool to see what other games they do include as well. Maybe not even like shooter based games, but it's just quite a really cool unique idea, and I do really enjoy the way they are doing it. And I honestly do hope this game succeeds, because I know a lot of people like to criticize Ubisoft, but I've played this game years ago when it was even in early development, and it does seem like they really do care about it. The lead creative director of this game worked on Call of Duty Ghosts, so he does have that sort of classic COD background in him, and the passion definitely does seem to be there. He's always on Twitter interacting with fans, taking people's inputs and stuff like that. It is clear that Ubisoft are actually trying with this game, and for that I'm not going to criticize them at all, and I do wish them the best because it is genuinely a pretty fun game. When it comes to gameplay, movement, gun mechanics and all that, they're kind of no different to your usual arcade shooter. I do think the game does feel real nice. However, I do think on the beta there is a little bit of a desync issue. It does feel like some shots aren't landing or you are getting shot around corners, but that does seem to be a beta issue, and I'm not going to criticize the game over issues with the beta. That's the entire point of having a beta, is to sort out these issues. So that's not really main criticism of the game. Balancing wise, it does feel really fun. You always have that issue when you have characters with specialist abilities that they're going to feel quite broken. I think an arcade shooter which handled having special operators with gadgets and abilities pretty poorly was Black Ops 4, where it seems like the mindset behind this development was if every specialist is overpowered, none of the specialists are overpowered. It was very unrewarding and the kills felt very cheap. You would try and go for like a 30 kill streak, for example, only to be killed by an attack dog which had like an insane amount of HP. Even if you hit every shot on it, the dog wouldn't have died and it would have one-shot killed you. And considering the person who sent that dog wasn't even from a kill streak, that was just their standard gadget, it did feel a bit unfair and took away a lot of the fun for going for kill streaks in Call of Duty. So what I've experienced in Xdefiant isn't really anything overpowered yet. The only thing that's kind of strong is the Far Cry faction. When you use the Far Cry faction, you have the option to heal yourself with this little healing ability, but if you're on 100 HP, you can actually overheal to 120 HP, and that does feel a bit too strong. But we're like only a day into the beta, and they've already announced that they will be nerfing that, so it does seem like Ubisoft really do care about this game, and it does seem like they are going to be listening to the fans, which is something which is very important for a live service game, and I really hope they do keep that level of communication and reaction to feedback as the game goes on. So yeah, I think the gunplay feels really nice, the time to kill is pretty good, the movement feels nice as well. The maps, just like the factions, the weapons, and the gadgets, all take aspects from other Ubisoft titles. You can be playing in the universe of The Division in a Manhattan in a sort of post-apocalyptic setting, or you can be playing at the Noodle headquarters in Silicon Valley in San Francisco straight out of Watch Dogs 2, or you can be in a more close-quarter setting in the Echelon HQ from Splinter Cell. So this game does kind of feel like a love letter to previous Ubisoft games, and if you're someone like me who is a fan of most of these games, it is really cool to see. Like I said, I am a massive fan of Watch Dogs 2, so going around the Noodle headquarters, which is kind of like a parody of Google, is a really cool thing to see. It's nice to see that game respected and brought to life in another project. Ubisoft could have easily half-assed all of this stuff, and I can genuinely say from my own opinion that I don't think they have, and I am really excited to see where they are going to take this game. So before we end this video, I want to ask you guys a question. Although they are inevitably going to add some factions from Siege into this game, what Rainbow Six Siege themed map do you think they could add to this game that would work in a TDM aspect? Or they could even add factions from older Rainbow Six titles and maybe some maps from Rainbow Six Vegas. I think that would actually be really cool. So anyway guys, that is my sort of initial reaction to playing Xdefiant. I definitely think it's got a pretty bright future, and it's free to play, so you might as well even just pick it up, and even if you don't enjoy it, that's fine, at least you got to give it a chance. We don't know of the official release date yet, but hopefully it's sometime soon since this beta is now gone public, and this is the first time they've actually allowed us to record it without an NDA. So guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about Xdefiant, and are you excited to give it a shot when it fully launches? As always, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, dislike it if you did not, subscribe if you're new. I shall catch you all later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.